What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Video Homicide. Welcome to day 29 of the 31 Days of Horror. I just watched Mario Bava's directorial debut film, which was The Mask of Satan, also known as Black Sunday. And I gotta say right off the bat, I fucking love this movie. It feels almost like a Universal monster film, only it's it's got way better fucking camera work, better acting. I'm not trying to be blasphemous or anything like that because I'm a huge fan of the Universal monster films, but this movie was just so fucking cool. So it starts off with these this witch being burnt at the stake, and they place this mask on her face, kind of like I believe it's called an Iron Maiden, where they, you go inside of this like little chamber, kind of like a coffin, and there's all these spikes, and when they close it, they impale you. Only with this, it was like a mask, and they put it on Barbara Steele, and they try to burn her at the stake, but a storm comes along, so the fire's put out, and then she places this curse on the family of this actually of her own family, I believe. So it takes place 200 years after this burning of this witch and her, I guess, boyfriend, or I'm not sure what the fuck he was supposed to be, but they do a great job, or Bava does a great job with this film, with the direction. I think the acting is a fantastic. I think the photography is beautiful. There's lots of sort of what I would consider like cutting edge techniques of at the time in this film. Like there's always like a really badass transition. Like for instance, there's a scene where there's this eyeball, and of course it being an Italian film, but there's a scene of an eyeball, and then it cross fades into like a trumpet, or excuse me, trombone. Like I just thought it was so cool. There was so many cool moments like that. I can't even name them all, but fantastic job with this film. So basically, there's these two doctors that are en route to like a conference or something, and they end up the carriage breaks down near this old cemetery, so they kind of go and explore, and they find like the burial chamber of this witch, and they just kind of like fart around. And then the one guy's like, I've had enough of this place, it's very spooky. And he takes off, and the older doctor stays down there, and he's attacked by this bat. So he hits the bat with like his cane, and all of a sudden he pulls out like a fucking 45 automatic, and he just starts blasting the bat, and then he starts bashing it with his cane, and then he breaks the cross that's on top of this witch's casket, and at the same time breaks the glass, because for some reason they kind of explain it like back in those days they would bury a witch, they could see her face, and as long as there was a cross, like she could see a cross, and she would be contained to death and all that stuff. But both of those things are broken, and of course the doctor kind of gets a little greedy, and he starts reaching at the mask, takes it off, and he cuts himself on the broken glass, and a bit of his blood spills down onto Barbara Steele's witch character, and that's sort of what reanimates her. And I thought that was really badass. And at the same time, like, she kind of comes back to life through this, and then resurrects her boyfriend guy, who's like, uh, I don't know how to explain this dude, but he's just basically like a Dracula kind of guy, I guess. But he's kind of like Satan in a way, I believe. But he fist fights one of the main characters later on in the films. It's pretty hilarious. But after they kind of, these two doctors untomb this woman, they fuck off to this bar, and they get plastered, and then the one guy kind of just takes off. The older guy takes off, goes for a walk. He's having a smoke, and this at the same time, this little girl is like sent to go milk a cow, like in the middle of the night, which I thought was fucking strange. But she goes and does this, and then she witnesses the older doctor being picked up by this Dracula dude, and she recognizes the carriage but doesn't recognize the driver. And then later on, of course, through a painting, she says, "That's the guy. That's the guy." You know what I mean? And I really thought that was cool how they unfolded all that. And there's this really badass fireplace in this film. Like, I gotta say, it's probably the coolest fireplace I've ever seen. Coolest, like, little castle thing. Like, this fireplace is basically like a big walk-in closet almost, but there's a secret door hidden, of course, behind the painting of the Dracula dude that acts as like a lever to open up this really like kind of cool dragon covered wall in the back of the fireplace. And if you take this corridor through there, there's like another picture of Barbara Steele, and she's fucking naked, and through there you can go right directly into the tomb where the two doctors, kind of untombed this witch. And I just, oh man, I just fell in love with this movie. It's a gothic horror film. If you're a fan of like I said, your Universal films like Dracula and fucking Frankenstein, Wolfman, all that kind of stuff, this movie fits right in with all those movies. I'm gonna be the first to admit, I'm not the expert on Mario Bava like I hope to be one day. I have seen maybe 3 or 4 of his movies. I've seen Blood and Black Lace. I've seen Bay of Blood, I believe he did. Now this one, pretty sure there might be one other one tucked in there somewhere. I just don't remember it. But I gotta admit, man, Bava is just, he's a master of horror, and I like, being like one of the guys that like sort of spearheaded, started the giallo genre, and not only that, but like made movies like this, like Black Sunday, that are just so easy to digest. Not movies that are like, because there's a lot of movies that are like this that just do not live up to this type of quality. We'll leave it at that. Like, I just felt so immersed in the environment. I loved all of the character. I loved like the priest, even though he's just like a minor character. I just thought he was cool. And like you can see where Fright Night even got inspiration from this film, because there's a scene where the priest like puts a crucifix on this guy's forehead and it burns into him, and total like Evil Ed type shit. So you can see that movies of the 80s, movies of even the 70s and beyond, like they all take from guys like Bava, guys like Romero, even though Bava was much before Romero. But these pioneers of horror, it's been a blast doing this 31 days of horror and just watching stuff, like especially all the stuff that I'd never seen before. I felt like there was no shit films, and that's kind of rare, because especially with horror movies, they're known to be hit or miss. Like there's way more bad horror films than there is good ones, and this is one of the best. I will definitely say that. I'll be watching this movie again probably within a year, just because I thought it was so fantastic. I love the alternate title as well, The Mask of Satan. And like I ended up watching this on, because unfortunately I don't have a copy of the film, I watched it on Daily Motion, which is sort of like a YouTube kind of thing, but it went by the title Mask of Satan. And I even had to kind of do a little bit of research, and just to make sure that I was watching Black Sunday. And sure enough, it is. It's also known as Mask of the Demon. I just think Mask of Satan is way fucking cooler. But like I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page right here, and I think that Bava shot this film. I cannot be 100% on that, but if he did, then he's like, I'll say this, okay? Even if he didn't, he directed it. He had a lot of say in what was going to be shot. Like like I said, man, there's a lot of really badass transition shots and just really good, camera movement. There's always like those scenes where like a guy will like walk towards a camera and then it'll like, flip kind of thing. I really enjoy that stuff. I think that Italian cinema is just, one of my favorite countries. Like I think Italy gets it probably the best. So we're going to leave it at that. I'm getting a phone call, so I appreciate everybody for watching. Leave a 666 in the comments and stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Adios.